Welcome to InvestorWeb, your trusted guide to understanding the world of finance. We're here to cut through the jargon, simplify the complex, and bring you fact-based, insightful content that helps you navigate the often turbulent waters of finance and investment. Our mission? To empower you with the knowledge you need to make informed decisions about your financial future. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting out, a student of economics, or someone simply curious about the world of money, you're in the right place. We're all about clarity, honesty, and insight. Think of us as your compass in the vast sea of finance. We believe that armed with the right information, everyone has the potential to make smart investment decisions, so buckle up and get ready for an enlightening journey. In this episode, we delve into a pressing issue that affects us all, the wealth gap. To comprehend the wealth gap, we must first understand what it means. The wealth gap, also known as wealth inequality, is the unequal distribution of assets among residents of a nation. These assets include anything from real estate, stocks, or retirement accounts to a simple savings account. It is a measure of the financial difference between the wealthy and the less fortunate. So, how do we measure the wealth gap? Typically, we use a tool called the Gini coefficient, which ranges from 0, representing perfect equality, to 1, signifying perfect inequality. For example, if every person in a society has the same wealth, the Gini coefficient would be 0. On the other hand, if one person holds all the wealth while everyone else has none, the Gini coefficient would be 1. In recent years, numerous studies have shown a significant increase in the wealth gap. According to the Credit Suisse Global Wealth Report, the richest 1% of the global population holds nearly half of all household wealth. That's right, just 1%. But why does this gap exist? There are several factors contributing to it. Firstly, the wealthy often have more opportunities to grow their wealth. They have access to better education, better jobs, and better chances for investment. Secondly, the wealthy can afford experienced financial advisors who can help them navigate tax laws and find loopholes, often leading to them paying less in taxes. Another factor is income inequality. The disparity in wages between the rich and the poor has been growing over the years. This means that the rich are getting richer, while the poor are struggling to keep up with the cost of living, making it harder for them to accumulate wealth. Lastly, inherited wealth plays a role. Wealthy families often pass down their fortunes to the next generation, perpetuating the wealth gap. Now that we've established what the wealth gap is, let's examine why it continues to widen. It's a common observation that the rich seem to get richer, but why is this the case? Let's delve into this, shall we? First off, the rich often have more capital at their disposal. This capital can be used to generate further wealth. For instance, they can invest in stocks, bonds, or real estate and reap significant capital gains over time. These investments typically yield higher returns than traditional savings accounts, providing the wealthy with an escalating income stream. Another contributing factor is inheritance. Wealth tends to accumulate and get passed down from generation to generation. This inherited wealth often comes with fewer strings attached, enabling the recipients to invest it and grow their fortune even further. Now let's talk about tax policies. Many countries have tax systems that, rather ironically, favor the wealthy. For example, capital gains, the profit from selling an asset like stocks or real estate, are often taxed at a lower rate than regular income. This means that the wealthy, who are more likely to have significant capital gains, end up keeping a larger portion of their income compared to those who rely on wages or salaries. Moreover, the rich often have access to sophisticated tax planning services that can help them exploit legal loopholes and minimize their tax liabilities. This is something beyond the reach of most middle-class and low-income individuals. And let's not forget about education. The wealthy can afford to send their children to the best schools and universities, setting them up for high-paying jobs and further perpetuating the cycle of wealth accumulation. These factors, capital gains, inheritance, tax policies, access to financial advice, and education, all play a part in why the rich get richer. It's a complex web of advantages that, once established, can be difficult to break. So the rich get richer, but what about the other side of the coin? Why do the poor get poorer? While the rich accumulate wealth, the poor often struggle to improve their financial situation. Let's explore why. Firstly, one of the significant contributing factors is the lack of access to quality education. Education is a powerful tool that can be used to break the cycle of poverty. However, many low-income families can't afford the cost of quality education for their children, leaving them stuck in a cycle of poverty. According to the World Bank, children from the poorest households are 3 times more likely to be out of school than children from the wealthiest households. Secondly, high interest debt is a common issue among the poor. Often individuals with lower incomes turn to high-interest loans to cover immediate financial needs. However, these loans can trap people in a cycle of debt due to the high interest rates and fees. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau reports that 4 out of 5 payday loans are rolled over or renewed within 2 weeks, trapping borrowers in a cycle of debt that can be extremely difficult to escape from. Thirdly, income inequality is another factor that perpetuates poverty. The gap between the rich and the poor has been widening over the years. According to the Economic Policy Institute, the top 1% of families took home 20 times more than the bottom 90% in the early 21st century. A stark difference from the early 70s, when the top 1% took home only 9 times the income of the bottom 90%. This widening gap makes it increasingly difficult for the poor to move up the economic ladder. Lastly, the systemic nature of poverty cannot be overlooked. Poverty is not just an individual issue, it's a systemic one. Lack of affordable housing, inadequate healthcare, and insufficient social support systems all contribute to the cycle of poverty, making it difficult for the poor to improve their financial situation. Clearly, the wealth gap is a complex issue with many contributing factors. The wealth gap is a significant issue, but it's not insurmountable. There are solutions. Firstly, let's look at policy changes. Some economists argue that our current tax system can inadvertently exacerbate wealth inequality. By shifting to a more progressive tax system where the wealthy are taxed at a higher rate, we could potentially redistribute wealth more evenly across societal strata. Additionally, policies aimed at limiting monopolies and encouraging competition can also contribute to a more equitable distribution of wealth. Next, let's consider financial literacy. A lack of understanding about financial matters can lead to poor decision-making and missed opportunities. By improving financial education, we can empower individuals to make better financial choices, such as saving for the future, investing wisely, or avoiding high-interest debt. This could be achieved through school curriculums, community programs, or even online platforms. Lastly, let's discuss the role of public services. Quality education, affordable healthcare, and accessible public transportation can all contribute to greater economic mobility. By investing in these areas, we can create an environment where everyone, regardless of their socioeconomic status, has the opportunity to succeed. For instance, numerous studies have shown that areas with well-funded schools have lower rates of income inequality. Now, it's important to remember that these solutions aren't silver bullets. Each one comes with its own set of challenges and potential drawbacks. A more progressive tax system, for instance, could discourage entrepreneurship and investment. Improving financial literacy and investing in public services, while beneficial, requires substantial time and resources. Furthermore, these solutions aren't mutually exclusive. They can and should be pursued in tandem. By doing so, we can address the wealth gap from multiple angles and increase our chances of success. While these solutions won't eliminate the wealth gap overnight, they represent steps in the right direction. The wealth gap is a complex but critical issue that we must continue to address. Today, we've delved into understanding this disparity, exploring the reasons behind the increasing fortunes of the affluent and the stagnating conditions of those less fortunate. We've discussed how the rich, with their access to resources, information, and opportunities, continue to amass wealth. Conversely, the poor often find themselves entrapped in a cycle of poverty, largely due to systemic issues and a lack of opportunities. We've also looked at potential solutions to bridge this wealth gap, from policy changes to educational initiatives, indicating that the situation is not hopeless. Indeed, with collective effort and informed decisions, we can begin to close this gap. But the conversation doesn't end here. Let's continue to learn, discuss, and act on this important issue. Thank you for joining us on Investor Web. Remember to subscribe for more insightful content on finance and investment. Together, we can make informed decisions for a better future.